Welcome to Business Line's State of the Economy podcast, where you'll find insight, analysis, and the story behind the numbers.
Welcome to the State of the Economy podcast. Generative AI is making a huge buzz. It is disrupting every single sector, from education to health and from e-commerce to logistics sector. Research firm Gartner recently says investments into generative AI by different companies is going to revive the IT industry's fortunes in 2024. It says IT industry is going to grow, IT spendings rather, is going to grow by an astonishing 8% in 2024 from just 1.8% or 3% last year. Though India is a bit late to the party, experts say we still have a chance to catch the bus. The startup ecosystem is ripe for generative AI revolution. The IT companies are investing heavily on generative AI capabilities. Engineering colleges are focusing on AI courses, seeing a huge shortage for talent. We are going to discuss the opportunities for India in the generative AI space in this podcast. We have with us today Sudha Reddy, who is a co-founder of Rava.AI, which has just developed a marketing Copilot. We also have Jaspreet Bindra, who is a thought leader in the generative AI space in India. He founded Tech Whisper Limited. He was the Group Chief Digital Officer at Mahindra Group. For over a year, Bindra is strongly pitching for an India-specific LLM that addresses the specific needs of India. Welcome to the State of the Economy podcast, Sudha. Jaspreet.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Kurmanath. Great to be here as well.
Yeah, thanks for joining the podcast. Jaspreet, I would like to have introductory remarks from you on the overall space in India, how it is evolving in generative AI space.
Sure. Kurmanath, you actually put a few things there very succinctly. Just to add 2 or 3 things more, if you look at various reports in terms of the value added by specifically Gen AI, generative AI, people are talking of $3 to $4 trillion of value added globally. If you look at EY's report on India, which also tried to measure the same, they're saying about $3 to $4 billion, which is possible in the next 3 to 4 years, which is actually, if you think about it, 1% of what the global numbers are. And I personally believe they should be and can be much larger. You did say that India is late to the party, and I believe so too. I think there are some other countries, even smaller countries like UAE, which have taken bigger steps than India has. And therefore, in everything that you mentioned, whether it be the startup ecosystem, whether it be government initiatives, whether it be corporates, whether it be our IT services firms, I think they need to kind of step up their game to make this jump happen. I would kind of, I can talk for a lot around this, but just I'll kind of talk about, I'll say last couple of things. One is, actually, I do believe that if done right, the Gen AI moment, in a sense, can be like the Y2K moment for India. If you remember, around 2000, when the whole Y2K bug scare was there, that was what made Indian IT happen. And I think if we kind of, gear up, something similar can happen. But for that, we need a different model, which is which follows our digital public infrastructure model, which I can talk about later during the podcast.
Sudha, congratulations. And you are one of the first startups that actually implemented the generative AI in marketing. Tell us how your startup uses generative AI to offer solutions that make you stand out from your competition. And what additional advantages does generative AI bring to the table?
So in general, startups or entrepreneurs know how to build products. They're really good at engineering. They're really good at getting the products done. But what most of the startups lack, if you think about numbers by either US Bureau of Labor Statistics, or if you look at like the Indian reports as well, 45% of startups end up failing due to lack of marketing in like either first 3 years or 5 years. So what we have built right now is to have a marketing copilot that can help these businesses start marketing from day one. Marketing cannot be like an afterthought, It has to start from day one. You have to start thinking about who your customers are, what you're building for them, what's your value proposition, how to do the business analysis. All of this thinking has to start from day one. And even if you think about SEO and all other aspects, right, that all needs to be ahead of time, not when the product is done. So 1 year you spend on building the product and then suddenly you think about, okay, now let's take it to market. Philosophy doesn't work. So what Rava.AI that we have developed does is, no matter what stage of business you are in, whether you are in a business idea phase or you have a URL or you have a website built, we take that as the input and we can guide you through step by step how to do marketing, and not just like simply content writing. That is one of the things that you hear about a lot. But generative AI is a lot more than that, can help you do a lot more than that. So we help you handhold you in terms of different marketing stages and help you write content as well. That's like what it is. And the way we are different from competitors is that most competitors think of it as using Gen AI for one small purpose. Either it's content generation or image generation or maybe strategy. And that puts like startups in a phase where they have to either use 3 tools or not knowing marketing in a comprehensive way or actions to take. So we bring it up to the point where you can outsource all your marketing, or you can actually train your team like to do marketing using our tool comprehensively, from strategy, from research to content, and then execution as well. That's how we are different. And like your last question I'm going to take, which is, what are the advantages? Because I'm in marketing, I'm going to specifically talk about marketing, which is, if you think about marketing, right, there's about 18 million people that are employed in the field of marketing globally. So if you think about it comprehensively, they are spending about 30 to 35 billion man hours doing like marketing tasks. Even if you save a small percentage of them, 1%, right? Right now, like the goal that is we are gearing up towards is at least 4 billion hours can be saved. If you think about taking all these tasks, you're not really like replacing all of the marketing tasks. But if you can save 4 billion man hours in marketing alone, that's a huge win. That's like what we are talking about in terms of like what generative AI can do. I can go into details, but let me stop here and give it back to you. So hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah, interesting, Sudha. Jaspreet, to be actually very, I think we need to start a humble beginning. We can't expect India to start off with ChatGPT or Gemini or such kind of large LLMs. What do you think? What are the low-hanging fruits for us? Where actually we can start to make a humble beginning?
Sure, Kurmanath. Though I personally don't agree that we should have lower ambitions. What we have shown the world in the whole DPI, DPG story with UPI, Aadhaar, etc., is a massive billion people plus, digital transformation of a country, which no other country has even come remotely close to in that scale. So I do think that if we put our priorities right, if we dream the right dream, if we have the right leadership, we have all the components to think big things. Having said that, I also tend to agree with you that we possibly, I don't think we need to build a similar kind of world model like GPT-4 or some of the other Claude or Gemini, etc. But a couple of things we can certainly do, if I may say. So 3 things. One is that we should look at some of the open source models which are out there, like Meta's Llama and Falcon by the UAE, and there are a bunch of others, and see if we can bring that and then start fine tuning it, refining it for an Indian context. And there are Indian companies like Sarvam, etc., which are building some of these LLMs. So I think that we still need to have some ambition there. But second, I think the way this whole story is going, people are moving towards quote unquote what are sometimes being called small language models, which are far more domain specific, have much less compute, lesser costs, and do one thing well. So say for something related to education, something related to healthcare, focused on healthcare, let's say, focused on financial inclusion, focused on land records or something of that nature. And those are much cheaper, better, cheaper, more focused, and have less costs. And so we should do that. But I think the third and the most important thing, and I know we have spoken about this also, Kurmanath, is what I sometimes fondly refer to as Jan AI, Jan for Janta, is where we need to take these models and actually start integrating them in the India stack. And so, make generative AI as accessible to the common person, billion plus common people, as UPI, Aadhaar, etc. are. And that actually could kind of lift India up and be the third way, not the US way, not the Chinese way, the third way by which you can empower 100 million plus creators, create 100 million plus creators, for example, or create personalized tutors for tens of millions of children. I think it's the delivery and the distribution, which I think we have become very good at in this country. Not creating these models. There are enough out there. We need to make some, sure. We need to fine tune some, but I think it's in the delivery that we can win the game, and that's what I would focus on.
Very interesting point you made, Jaspreet. Actually, yes, we need those interventions to make AI available. I can afford 1,800 rupees a month and enjoy the benefits of LLM, but not all people can enjoy that. We need to figure out how actually it can be used by scores of people. Yeah. Sudha, actually, you are one of those 1 million or 100 million creators that Jaspreet was talking about. As a generative AI startup, what are the key challenges or key issues or road bumps that you faced in terms of talent, technology, or funding as you actually adopted generative AI solutions?
Yeah. As you rightly said, Kumarant, I think we are on the receiving end of what Jaspreet was talking about, which is we are one of the startups, we are in that pool, right? And the big difference I'll talk about is, since I spend half my time in Silicon Valley and half my time in Hyderabad, you see the community and the support is very different in Silicon Valley. Cerebral Valley, there's about 3 to 4 events that are AI focused that are happening each day. So you can imagine the support, right? Like if you want to do LLMs very specifically in marketing to a use case, you go to a workshop, you go to an event, like you actually meet people and it can be solved. That doesn't happen. In general, I think we actually have our talent pool sitting in India. So they definitely need to have that balance of not only knowing Gen AI right now, but for us, the challenge is also verticalization. Those that know AI as well as marketing is still a challenge for us. Finding like the right people that we can feed these use cases to and say, oh, okay, here's the problem in marketing that we want to solve using Gen AI or LLM. So now give us a solution that is verticalized is definitely still a challenge for us. And doing it not only at that like verticalized level, but at the right cost, technology, all of that is also a challenge because technology is also evolving. We adopt like, let's say 3.5, 4 came into picture. We go into Llama or like open source RAG, like something else came into picture. So adopting technology at lower cost and doing it at scale is been our challenge. And also, if you think about it, if you even think about funding side, right? Some of the biggest companies, marketing companies, if you think about Jasper, Copy.ai, they're being valued at like $1.5 to $2 billion. But the Indian version of the startups are the overall funding itself in India for like our sector for VCs is like only 155 million. So that in itself is like a very different like thought process for us. So we have to keep in mind costs, but we have to at least like we want to hit the US comparative markets, not necessarily Indian comparative markets. So all those are challenges we are facing in terms of resources as well as costs and technology. That's those are few thoughts that I like.
Jaspreet, you listen to her, the challenges faced by a startup. What are the challenges you see at the broader level? How actually we can overcome them in order to meet the goals that you are talking about in making generative AI available to a large number of people?
Sure. So I absolutely empathize with what Sudha is saying. One of my things which I really didn't say in your first question, I held back, was that India will and Indians will do an amazing job in generative AI, but they will all do it outside India. Okay, so it's going to be the same story. Okay, because the environment is so much more enabling, as she pointed out. Definitely definitely in the valley, but even in places like I go to the UAE and see stuff happening there, for example, or even in Singapore or some of the other places, the environments, even in the UK where I spend time, the environment is far more enabling. It's not just quantum of money, which is also bigger. I think in India, one of the ways that one of the things we'll have to figure out is that what part of this whole value chain we want to play in and which part do we want to capture. So if you think about it, if you think of the generative AI value chain, the chips are at the bottom, all the semiconductors, etc., and then are the large language models, and then you keep on going up, and there's applications at the other end of it, and there are services also somewhere in between. I think we should not be focusing on the bottom of the stack, which is the LLMs and the chips, because that's where there's so much more investment. More importantly than needed, but more importantly than investment, we need to have a culture which is a deep research culture, a deep tech culture, which unfortunately is not present in our country. And all the noises which are being made are, oh, we're creating one more LLM. Oh, Krutrim is creating an LLM, or, I want to set up a semiconductor thing. I think we are just playing in the wrong field. I again repeat that the way to, I think is to focus on what we are good at. And we have shown that we are good at taking these technologies, delivering them at scale to 1 billion plus users. We have a model for that. And then, making those users change the world because of that delivery. And that's what I call Jan AI, the whole Aadhaar piece, et cetera, and then creating millions of new entrepreneurs, hundreds of services companies or product companies, which are happening because you're kind of now delivering this power to their fingertips. I think we need to kind of identify that this is our strength, focus on our strengths, and put all our resources on those strengths rather than just trying to ape the world and just we need one more big large language model from India, just because few other people have it.
Yeah, we need to evolve our own model.
Yeah, and our own model, not our own large language model, but our own model of doing this.
Yes, growth path.
Yes. And there's a way, the path is already laid out, frankly, with this whole DPI, DPG thing. And I think we need to put this on the same path in some sense.
Yeah, likewise, we have shown the world the UPI.
Yeah.
And the phone number based payment systems.
Yeah.
You are one of the early movers into the LLM space. As a woman co-founder, what role actually do you see for women-led startups? What role they can play in shaping the future of generative AI in India?
I'll lead off of like Jaspreet's point, which he said on technology side in India, which is why lower the ambition just when it comes to technology to compare in India. I think I would take that analogy to women as well. Why lower ambitions, whether it be women or men, if we are building systems for everyone should be involved in building it. That's how I think about it. We are, whether it be like we are depending on whatever we are doing, whether it's for verticalized, horizontal solutions or modern stack solutions, we are building systems that need to be leveraged by creators, entrepreneurs, enterprises, all of them. And at every stage, be it technology, be it leadership, be it privacy, be it policy, I think all of them should have equal involvement with women. I think that's when we can really create a system that can scale, that can actually work for everybody, because there is views and opinions of everybody involved. And that's how I think about women-led startups. I don't like differentiate or anything. I think there just needs to be equal play. The reality is quite different. And also being one of the women in the AI space. I run into this all the time. I'm usually in a room full of men that are founders, and there's about 2 or 3 women in the AI based startups that are doing and are talking about it. That's always like lately been the case, but I'm hoping that it will change, at leadership levels, at all of these levels, even engineers, right? We there's one woman in our team, but the thing is we want it to be equal, and it's not yet happened, and that needs to change from a lot of like levels. I think learning, teaching, like in schools, encouraging here, like there is like girls who code it at 5th, 6th grade itself. And that needs to be a program that is available everywhere. And that encouragement needs to happen from a very young age as well. So that is, and when it does happen, I think we will create a much more efficient systems. And that's like how I think about women-led startups.
Okay. Just to add, just to add, coincidentally, in the last 1 week, I've met 3 generative AI entrepreneurs. If I can count this as a meeting, Sudha, but I've met 3 generative AI. All 3 have been women.
Oh,
nice.
Interesting.
This was not that I was looking for. I wasn't looking for a woman entrepreneur today. It was. And but maybe it was, you said you find 3 in a room. Maybe I met all of those 3, Sudha. But 2 of them are actually building outside India. One of them is building in India, but 2 of them are building outside India. And I think women or men, that would be the kind of ratio we will find. 2/3 of the people from here would be building outside the country.
Yeah. Ideally, I think that conversation shouldn't even happen. Sadly, we are even having that conversation of women-led startups and differentiators. I think we shouldn't even be talking about it, where I think, how does it matter, right? We are building technology and we want to be equally ambitious. We want to be equally challenged. And that's like how, the whole startup ecosystem should be.
Thanks very much, Jaspreet, Sudha. Thanks for your insights. Sudha, thanks very much for joining from a different time zone. We will continue the conversations later. Jaspreet, do you have any interesting development in generative AI later? Thanks very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Kurmanath.
Thank you.